Hello guys and welcome back to I'm a Celeb Catch Up, and you're seeing this video tomorrow on Saturday, but I'm currently recording it Friday night in the breaks of I'm a Celeb because I've got to get up early. I'm away for the weekend, so I hope you guys enjoy. It might be a little bit of a higgledy-piggledy episode, but I'm going to do my best to recap as I go along. So without much further ado, let's get straight into the first part of the episode. We've just gotten up to the trial, so I'll recap everything up till there. So the morning broke, everyone woke up and they realised that Nella and Josie did not put away the washing up from last night, which essentially means that rats and critters have been in amongst the pans, and it means that it needs to be washed again. An interesting thing that happened was that Nick washed it up, which I feel like is going to cause issues. They may receive a punishment or something like that. I don't know, because technically you're meant to stick to your jobs. But I think it was good that Josie and Nella didn't have to do it, because they have had to do a lot of washing up, especially yesterday when Fred started chucking stuff on the floor and making it dirty again. Speaking of Josie, she was crying in the dunny and Danielle went to go comfort her because she's missing her son. I feel like this has been an appropriate amount of time to start missing your loved ones. When Jamie Lynn was crying day 3 or day 2, I can't remember, I felt like that was strange, but I feel like now that we are, what, 13, almost 2 weeks into the experience, I feel like this is an appropriate amount of time to have a little cry, and this is the first time that we've seen it happen. So yeah, love you, Josie, you're amazing. But yeah, also another funny thing was Sam was I think he dropped wind like in front of Tony and Tony was like, fucking hell, this stinks. But yeah, that was all that happened in the morning. And then in the lead up to the trial, we saw kind of some people being like, I'm scared of this. If it's this, I'm not going to be able to do much. Nella and Tony both said that they would not want to participate if it was underground. I don't think that it's going to cause much of an issue, because like before, sometimes they've put them in a coffin, but this one, it's open topped, kind of. And so I feel like they'll be a lot more comfortable with it and a lot more willing to participate. However, Tony did say that he does not like snakes, so I feel like that may cause a little bit of an issue, if I'm being honest. Just a little bit. Nigel, being Nigel, kind of like, what are you scared of, Nigel? Underperforming, not doing well enough. Okay, Nigel, all right, not scared anything, but like, apparently scared of holding your breath. But I won't get into that because I've been shouted at in the comments, because apparently he's been smoking for 40 years and he has a tough time holding his breath for longer than 2 seconds. Fair enough. I don't smoke, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, disappointing. Yeah, that's all I really have to say about Nigel, to be honest. Disappointing. So getting into the trial was actually quite an entertaining trial, I thought. They were each put into sort of almost like shallow graves in the ground. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, yeah, and then they had to reach up, pull across almost like a clothes rail that had keys on them, take them down one by one, try and unlock their locks. If they didn't work, put them back up, pass it to somebody else, basically. That was the idea of the challenge. It sounded a lot easier than it actually was, but it was made a lot harder by the fact that someone quit very early on, just like in the last trial. We'll get a little bit into that in a second. But essentially, the critters that were put in with them were... Let me see if I can remember. Tony and Nick got snakes. Nella got cockroaches. Sam got toads, which... I don't even know why toads was an option, let's be honest. Like, what a load of rubbish. Like, what a load of rubbish. Toads, really? That's not scary. Oh, whatever. And then Nigel got given rats, which, again, I don't think rats are that scary, but when you have 50 of them around you, yeah, I can kind of I can kind of understand that. So the idea of the trial was quite simple, but like I said, it was made hard when Nella quit like a couple of minutes in, I think 2 minutes in. And unfortunately, she left one of the keys in the box, which essentially meant by her quitting, they were down to a maximum of 7 stars only, which was crazy. I'm not gonna lie. So it became a little bit of a race to try and sort of get as many stars as they possibly could. I think they did a decent job. I don't think they did amazingly. They just kind of did okay. I mean, was it Tony first? I think Tony got one first, then Sam, then Nick got 2 out, then Sam got his other one out, then Tony got his other one out, and then it was just Nigel with the last 2, and well, obviously he couldn't unlock one of them, so they managed to get 6 overall because Nigel just couldn't find the right key. I'm not convinced he was doing it in a strategic way. I would have used all of the keys on one lock, used it all on the other, but it just seemed like he was focusing on one lock. Maybe it was just the editing, I don't know, but it just didn't seem like he had a very strategic way of working it out. But then again, I don't know. But yeah, so that was the trial. A lot easier, I thought, than yesterday's. Yesterday was more of a puzzle because getting the stars unlocked was the easy part, whereas this time getting the stars unlocked was the hard part, whereas yesterday piecing them together was the hard part. So I think they were difficult in their own ways, but it was still entertaining to watch. And Tony gives some fascinatingly hilarious conversation. Yeah, makes hilarious comments whilst he's in sort of dire situations. So do you know what? Absolutely. Yeah, really, really enjoyed it. I had a great time watching it, and sucks that Nella Rose ducked out, but this is the 3rd time that she's dropped out of a trial, and I just don't know if she's going to be able to complete one again. Is it her problem with cockroaches? Is that what it is? Is that what it is? Because, like, I actually don't know what the issue is. As I guessed, there were some rule breaks. And obviously Nick doing the washing up caused some rules to be broken. So Sam was ousted from his position as camp leader, and the camp held a secret ballot vote to decide who should be the next camp leader. And I gotta say, very, very interesting results. Very interesting results, I got to say. Now, let's talk about what they were saying. First of all, we didn't get to see who voted for who, which I thought was a bit of a waste of time because, like, we're the audience, we're not in the camp, but that's neither here nor there. We got to see the names being drawn out. The reasons that everyone gave were kind of like, oh, this person needs a lift, and I was like, oh, whatever. So essentially the results were as follows. So Nick ended up with 2 votes, Marvin ended up with 2 votes, Danielle ended up with 1 vote, Nella ended up with 3 votes, Josie ended up with 1 vote, and Nigel ended up with 1 vote as well, but I'm 95% sure he voted for himself, because I don't think anybody in the camp would have willingly written down their name, his name. I mean, someone probably did. I don't know who, though, because, like, why would you risk your career in life by voting Nigel Farage for a leadership position? Oh, wow. So Nella ended up being the camp leader, and I gotta say, she's already mixing things up. She asked Danielle to be her second in command, which I thought was good. I think it still should have been Josie, but seeing what she gave Josie makes a lot of sense. She gave Josie and Tony the camp chefs, which caused a little bit of a stir. And she gave Nigel and Fred washing up duty, which is effectively karma and payback for the fact that both of them have been bitching and moaning about the fact that things aren't clean and that things need to be done again, chucking stuff on the floor, making it even muddier, so they have to clean it again. This karma, at the end of the day, it is karma. And I feel like Nella might have a little bit of a power trip, but don't dish out what you can't serve. Do you know what I mean? Wait, don't dish, whatever. You get what I'm trying to say here. As for the rest of it, water and dunny duty was Nick and Sam, and then camp maintenance was Marvin. So on the whole, it's mixed things up, and it's gonna cause some tension, and I'm very, very excited for everything to start bubbling over. But yeah, very exciting to watch, I gotta say. Really quickly, I'm keeping an eye on the break as we're talking. But there was a really funny conversation with Josie about how she likes collecting things. She says she's got about 50 calculators in her house. She used to collect glass jars. She used to collect bathroom scales, 50p's. It was just quite an interesting chat about random things that she collects. And then Nella was getting involved, and Danielle was telling her what she collects as well. And then Nick was like, yeah, I quite like Tupperware, to be fair. and they just started being like, oh, you're one of the girls, we always knew you'd be like one of the girls. And Nick was just sort of like, yeah. Do you know what, I gotta say, Nick came into the jungle. I did not know who he was. It was a bit boring, but like, the more I watch him, the more I get to know him, the more he opens up, the more I find him hilarious. I think he's so funny, and he just never lets anything get him down. He's always positive. He's always happy. And I just think we ought to all be a lot more like Nick. So the second challenge in this episode was a screaming challenge, which sounds a lot easier than it was, which I gotta be honest, it was entertaining, I gotta say. But they were basically competing for each other's treats that they could have. And the idea is that they paired up, and then half of them would go out and try and identify their partner's scream from like audio clips that were like on buzzers. And then they had to put their partner's face in front of it in order to sort of lock it in as that's their scream. Again, a lot easier than it sounds. I gotta say, the women all sounded the same. All three of their screams sounded identical, like genuinely, to the point where I was like, I don't know. Some of the men had more recognizable ones, like Nigel's was very recognizable, Frankie was very recognizable, Sam was very recognizable, but aside from that, it was quite difficult, I thought, and I was surprised that they did as well as they did. In the first group, it was I've just got to check my notes. Wait, hold on. It was Frankie, Josie, Danielle, Fred, and Marvin. No. Nick? Maybe? I don't know. I actually can't remember. But all I remember is that Fred, it literally just happened. It's like I just watched it on the TV. Oh my god, my memory's shocking. Fred and Josie unfortunately did not get their persons right. So no, Josie got her right, guys. I'm actually having a bit of a breakdown here. Danielle got Nella's wrong. Nella, she didn't get Nella's scream. Fred didn't get Marvin's scream. That's what it was. Okay, we're back on track, guys. We're back on track. And as for the second group of people, again, I thought they did all right. They didn't do horrendously or anything. But they definitely had an easier job. The only person that got it wrong was who got it wrong? Tony got it wrong. He got Josie's scream mixed up with, I think, Nella's, actually. Yeah. So, swings and roundabouts. Essentially, the people who won't be getting treats tonight are Josie. I always start this and I'm like, yeah, I can list them off, but it actually takes a lot of time. Josie, Marvin, and Nella. Those three will not be getting any treats tonight. I'm still yet to find out what the treats are. But we're going to move on to dinner. And it was spatchcock chicken, which, yeah, chill. I like chicken. Cool. It was slightly worrying how I was like, how are they cutting this? Because surely they've got to wash their hands, but like, that would mean them trekking through the jungle. So like, what are they actually doing about chickeny hands? Because like, surely that's not safe. But regardless, I put that thought out of my brain. Fred was getting involved in involved, like with a capital I and a capital the rest of the letters. He is very much of the opinion that he is the only person that can cook, and he is the only person that should cook. And that is starting to really wind me up. And it was very, very clear when he was hovering, and Josie was like, go away, because like, and he was just like, oh, I'll leave you, and then was sat there sulking. And I was just like, dude, just leave her to it. It's not gonna be forever. You can go back to cooking in in a couple of days. Just chill, please, for the love of God. So as you can see on the screen behind me, they've just announced that Tony is going to be facing the next trial, which, I gotta be honest, was the smart choice in this matter. Let's be 100% honest. It's a trial about climbing into a snake's mouth. So choosing the person that is scared of snakes makes the most sense. I don't know why people are insisting on voting Nigel to do trials. He's boring. He's not even interested. At least when Matt Hancock did it, he was entertaining a little bit. Nigel is the most boring person when it comes to trials. Oh, I'm not getting heated. So, yeah, I gotta say, it was an entertaining episode. I think it was made more entertaining by the fact I've been able to run backwards and forwards to try and record this before I go to sleep, because I got an early flight. But thank you guys very, very much for watching, and I will see you guys probably on Monday for another I'm a Celeb video. Like I said, I'm away this weekend. But thank you guys very, very much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Keep on ranting. Bye now.